it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini. I post weekly crafting, cooking, and organic gardening videos right here on my YouTube channel. In this video tutorial, I'm teaching you how to make a super easy maxi skirt. So here's the maxi skirt we're going to be making. The fabric I've chosen is 100% cotton. It's a chambray, kind of like a wrinkled up gauzy fabric. It's really airy and lightweight, perfect for this type of gathered maxi skirt. I got the fabric from Fabric Mart Fabrics. I'll include a link in the description box below the video. Check them out. The price on this fabric is ridiculous. You're going to want to get tons of it. And just know that it's while supplies last. So once it's sold out, there's not going to be any more of it. So before we start our project, let's start taking some measurements. First, we're going to start off with our waist measurement, and I'm going to just get a basic measuring tape, put it around myself, and you don't want it to pull it too tight or too snug, just where it's nice and comfortable. In my case, that number is 36 inches, and so we're just going to write that number down. Now we need a length measurement, so take your measuring tape and go from where you measured at your waistline, and then measure all the way down to however long you want the maxi skirt to be, either touching the floor, a little bit above by your ankles, whatever you want it to be. Take that measurement and jot it down as well. If you can't read the number down there, nobody can help you, just estimate a little bit higher because we can always hem it shorter if we need to. Now I want my maxi skirt to sit really high up on my waist with a thick waistband going around, so I'm not going to change any measurements. If you want yours to sit lower, then you may want to deduct the width of the finished waistband that you'll be making from the finished length of the fabric before you cut out your fabric, okay? But just play around with it. Now these measurements are going to correspond to the size of the panels that we need to cut out for the skirt. You're going to have to cut out 2 panels. One is going to be for the front and another one for the back of the skirt. Now the fabric I'm using here from Fabric Mart that I got, I know it measures 52 inches wide. 52 is a little bit short of 54, but because the skirt is going to be so gathered, it's okay. I'm just going to wing it. So if you're a few inches off here or there for the width part, you'll be fine because the skirt is really gathered anyways. So even after we cut off the selvages, I'll be okay. Now for the length, going across the other way, I do need to cut my 39 inches, okay? So I'm going to cut 2 panels with those dimensions. Now I'm going to gather each one of my panels, and I'm gathering across the length. So across my 50 whatever inch measurement, I'm gathering there. And you can see that I'm using a ruffler foot. I'll include a link in the description box on where you can purchase one, see if it's compatible with your machine, but do that across one top edge of both of your panels. Make sure that you're doing it across the width measurement, okay? Once you're done ruffling up the top edge of both of your fabrics, you want to lay one on top of the other, pretty sides touching, and then we're going to just place pins along the long edges on both sides before we take it to our machine to stitch up. Then using whatever seam allowance you want, I'm just using the edge of my presser foot here. Use a straight stitch, back stitch at the beginning and at the ends, and you want to stitch up both of those long sides. Now we can deal with the waistband, and for this we want to select the fabric that has a really good stretch to it because you want to be able to put the skirt on, but you want the fabric to bounce back and hug your hips and your waistline, and so that it doesn't fall off on you right as you're walking and throughout the day as you're wearing it. The fabric I'm using here is like this really cool stretch denim. It's actually a 4-way stretch. You can see when I stretch it and let it go, it bounces right back. So it has really good stretch return. We're not using elastic, but we still need a fabric that has similar characteristics so that it can still play the role of the waistband that we need, okay? Now your fabric doesn't have to be a 4-way stretch like mine, but see something like this is just like a ribbed jersey. When I stretch it, it doesn't really bounce back. You see that it kind of just hangs out there stretched out. So this is not going to work for a waistband for this type of skirt, okay? Once you have your waistband fabric, we need to figure out the dimensions to cut it. This piece here, I only cut it to measure 28 inches long. Even though my waist is 36 inches, you can see that when I tug on the fabric, it stretches so much that it's going to make it there no problem, and it goes even further. So just gauge based on the stretchiness of your fabric how much shorter you can cut it and still have it fit you snug and nicely without it being too loose and falling off on you, okay? I can't possibly tell you guys about all the different fabric combinations because there's so many out there that this is just going to come with time, and the more you work on making your clothes, the better you'll be able to gauge each fabric. Now for the width measurement, you want to cut it so that it's twice as wide as what you want the finished waistband to be. You can see it's going to look like this. It's going to be folded over, and this is what my finished waistband is going to look like. For now, let's stitch this up. So we need to open it up, pretty side facing up. I'm going to fold it over lengthwise and match up these two raw edges, and we're going to stitch it down this way using a stretch stitch. If you're not familiar with the tools that you need to have in place to sew with stretch knit fabrics, you definitely want to click right here and watch my video tutorial where I'll teach you the tips and tricks on what you need to have and what you can do to make it easier for you to stitch on stretchy fabrics. I'm only using about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance here and stitching all the way down. Then you take your sewn waistband like this, and we're going to fold it up this way so that we're exposing just the pretty sides of the fabric and match up all the raw edges at the bottom. You can see that's what the finished waistband is going to look like. Then you just want to take it over to an ironing surface and give it a nice press. Now take some kind of a fabric marking device, and we're going to mark 4 points on our waistband. First one's going to be where the seam is, and that's going to be the center back of our maxi skirt. Then one off to the right there, and another one off to the other side. So we're basically splitting the entire waistband into 4s. Now I flip it, and opposite side of where that seam is, I'm going to make another mark. So you should have 4 marks on your waistband where you split it up into quarters. Now repeat the process of splitting it in 4s and marking those quarter marks to your skirt as well, just like you did on the waistband. I'm going to mark it here with my chalk marker, and then what we're going to do is match up the quarter marks on the skirt with the quarter marks we created on the waistband so everything lines up nicely. The skirt should be laid out in front of you pretty sides out, and then the waistband as well. Notice I'm matching raw edges of the waistband to raw edges of the skirt. So the skirt itself should be tucked under and the waistband should be going around it, okay? Make sure you have the correct orientation so that you make sure that you're sewing it on correctly. So I'm finding another mark here. Make sure I grab both layers of the waistband, and then you want to pin it. Here's what it should look like with the waistband on the outside with raw edges matching. For sewing, you're going to need to stitch and pull just the stretchy waistband fabric so that it can make its way across to the next pin. The waistband is smaller than the fabric that we use for the skirt part, and so you need to tug on the waistband to get it to reach over. So that's why it's really important that you use really stretchy fabric so that it can make it to the next pin. So as I stitch around and make my way to the next quarter mark and the pin, I'm pulling the elastic fabric to get it to stretch and match up and meet with the raw edge of the maxi skirt part, okay? And continue to do this all the way around, making sure that you're stretching that fabric so it reaches all the way over to the next pin. Once that waistband is on, all you need to do is try it on, see if you like the length. You can cut away any excess if you don't, but otherwise all you need to do is hem that bottom under, fold it under, just do a simple hem, fold it under twice, and stitch that down into place. And once that hem is done, your maxi is complete. Now my friends at Fabric Mart Fabrics have been kind enough to send me some other fabrics for me to try out and see how I like to make different maxi skirts. So I'll show you guys here a few variations of the skirts I've created. Once you make a few, they whip up so quickly that it's just amazing. Here's different plaid fabrics, and what I like about these is that they're basically double-sided. As you can see, because of the way it's woven, you can really decide on which side of the fabric you prefer to use for whatever project you'll be making. So some of these I'm going to be turning into maxi skirts, and others I'll be turning into who knows what. The links are all in the description box below. Check them out. So that's it. You saw how easy it was to whip up a maxi skirt. You can start making these in all fabrics that you want. Remember that you can always adjust the hem to make different lengths of the skirt as well. So it's super easy, a great beginner project to start off with. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure that you hit it with the thumbs up, share it across the different social media sites, and don't forget to click that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of my future video tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.